Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the home loan process. If you've ever felt like getting a mortgage is a complete mystery, like you're just setting paperwork into a void, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're about to introduce you to the entire team that makes it all happen.
I mean, does the thought of getting a mortgage feel just overwhelming? Like you're just handing over a mountain of documents into some kind of black box and hoping for the best? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. But by the end of this, you're going to have a crystal clear roadmap of who does what and, more importantly, why they do it.
All right, so where do you even start? Your journey to owning a home kicks off with one really crucial step: finding the right person to guide you through the financial maze. You can think of them as the quarterback of your home buying team.
And that guide is your loan officer, or LO for short. Now, this person is your main point of contact. They work for one specific lender, a bank or a credit union. Their whole job is to understand your unique situation and find the best loan for you from the products their company offers. They're the one you call with questions, and they're the person who really gets the ball rolling.
Okay, but you've probably also heard the term mortgage broker, right? So what's the difference? It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. A loan officer plays for one team, a single bank, and can only offer you plays from that team's playbook. A mortgage broker, on the other hand, is kind of like a free agent. They aren't tied to any one lender, so they can shop your application around to a bunch of different places to find you a deal.
So you've submitted your application with all that paperwork. Where does it actually go? I can promise you it doesn't just sit in a folder somewhere. The moment you send it in, a whole team behind the scenes gets right to work.
Think about your application's journey like a relay race. It starts with your loan officer. They then pass the baton to the loan processor. The processor gets everything organized, checked, and double-checked, preparing for the final leg, when they hand it all off to the underwriter for that huge final decision.
And it's really key to understand the difference between these two roles. The loan processor is all about documentation. They are the fact checkers, the organizers. Their job is to make sure your file is absolutely perfect and complete. The underwriter, though, their focus is on decision-making. They take that perfect file and analyze every detail to figure out the risk for the lender.
And this quote just nails it. They really are detectives. They're investigating the entire file to determine if you and the property are a good bet for the lender, and they have to follow some very specific guidelines to do it.
So what exactly are these detectives looking for? Well, their investigation really boils down to two main things: analyzing your financial fitness and analyzing the house you actually want to buy.
Yeah, this term underwriting gets thrown around a lot. But what is it, really? At its core, it's just the lender's process for figuring out if loaning you a huge chunk of money is an acceptable risk. And to do that, they focus on three key areas, often called the 3 C's.
The 3 C's make it pretty simple. First, there's your credit. What's your history of managing debt? Second is capacity. Do you have the income to actually repay the loan on top of your other debts? And third, there's collateral, which is just a fancy word for the house itself. Is the property actually worth the price you're agreeing to pay?
Now, to investigate that third C, the collateral, your lender orders one of the most important steps in this whole thing, the property appraisal. This is where an independent third-party professional comes in to give their expert opinion on the home's official market value.
And the appraisal itself has its own timeline. First, the lender has to order it. Then, the appraiser needs to schedule the visit. They might only be at the house for an hour or two, but the real work happens next, when they spend a few days doing deep research on the market. Finally, they submit their report to the lender, who then gets a copy over to you.
So here's the big question. What happens if there's a problem? What if the appraisal comes in lower than the price you agree to pay? It can feel like a huge setback, I know, but it's not always the end of the world. You have options.
You can go back to the seller and try to renegotiate the price down to the new appraised value. Or, if you're able, you can bring more of your own cash to closing to cover that gap. Sometimes, you can even challenge the appraisal if there are clear mistakes. And if you have an appraisal contingency in your contract, you have the option to just walk away from the deal.
Okay, so let's imagine the appraisal is solid, the underwriter gives the final green light, and your loan is approved. You've made it. You're in the home stretch now. This is the final stage, the countdown to getting your keys.
And as you approach that finish line, there's one number that is absolutely critical to remember.
And that number is 3. It stands for the 3-day rule. This is a federal law, a consumer protection that says you must get your final loan document, called the closing disclosure, at least 3 business days before you're scheduled to sign. This is so important because it gives you time to review every single final term and cost without feeling rushed.
The final member of your team is the closer. As soon as the underwriter gives the final approval, the closer steps in. They're the ones who coordinate everything for the big day. They review all the paperwork one last time, work with the title company, and get that big stack of documents ready for you to sign to make that home officially yours.
So you see, from that first chat with the loan officer, through all the detailed work of the processor and the underwriter, and right up to that final signature with the closer, a whole team is working behind the scenes to get you into your new home. It's not a black box at all. It's a collaboration. And now, the mystery is solved.